Boxing King Media, powered by BYD. Dave Coldwell at the Coldwell Boxing Gym. Dave, it's been a while. How you doing, first of all?
I'm good, thanks. Really good. Enjoying my work, enjoying life. Yeah, things are all right, mate. Thanks.
Great stuff. Obviously the big fight of the weekend. I know you've done a few interviews, etc., but I've just caught up with you now and just wanted to speak about some of the stuff that's come since the fight. I think the first thing I want to speak to you about, Simon Jordan, a guy that a lot of people listen to, and his opinions are obviously normally quite to the point. He spoke about the fight beforehand, and he mentioned the word PTSD, and he said he got a lot of backlash from it. Obviously, he's brought it up again, and he stands by the comments that he feels AJ, again, he's never been put in that difficult place, and he went back to that place, and he couldn't survive it. Do you think there was an element from that, or what do you think on his opinions?
First of all, PTSD. You don't know, because it's all right saying yes, flashback. We talk about, you get flashback, this. But getting punched in the head and being concussed does funny things to your brain. And what it does is, if you've never been in that position, if you've never, experienced that, you can't speak from experience. You can't speak from how, from knowledge of how it feels. You can get caught with a shot and your vision could just spin, skew whiff, so your equilibrium gets unbalanced, and your vision literally goes like that. So what you can then be doing is you're trying to bluff your way through it, and you're trying to ride those moments out, trying to wait for your eyes to settle. That can happen if you just get caught on the eye, or it can happen when you get caught with a good headshot. If you get dropped and you get up, again, it's a bit of a numbness. It can be where it's a bit of confusion. Anything that dulls the brain down, because you got to remember, is when you get dropped, it's because your brain's safety mechanism's kicking in, protecting you. Light switches off, so your brain can reset, and then you go again. When you get dropped and you get up, your brain's a bit dulled, so your thought processes aren't working, and you're maybe not making the right decisions. So it can be. I'm not saying that you don't have PTSD, but when I speak to fighters, or if you speak to a lot of fighters, I've never come across anybody that's actually said, "Oh yeah, I got hit with a good shot, and my mind, all I was thinking about was when I got knocked out back in so and so." It's not really that. It's more the confusion. It's more, yes, you drill things in the gym, you drill things in sparring when everything's clear thinking. In a fight, and because you have been dropped, you have got an element of concussion there. The brain is just not firing right, and it's the decision making. So you might know what to do in a calm situation when you're drilling in training, but can you do that when the brain's not functioning right? And that's where I think a lot of it will have been. And a lot of it with a lot of fighters. It's like when we say, if you get caught with a shot and you get hurt, don't swing back, don't fire back. Oh, it's his heart. It's because they're not thinking clearly. There's a lot of emotion in there, and if you're not, there's different elements of how a knockdown has an effect, or how you don't even have to go down, how a shot to the head has an effect on you. There's different elements. There's one where there's times where you can be completely gone, you have no idea. There's times where fighters won't remember, still to this day, everything past a certain point in a fight. They'll remember up to it, they'll ring walk everything up to a round, and then everything after that round they won't remember, or they might not just remember that round. So there's a lot going off with the brain when it's getting punched in the head. So you can't listen. He's entitled to his opinion, and that's fine. And in certain times that can be right, but you can't pin your flag to the mast and say that was what it was. It was PTSD. I was right, but you can't say that, because he got hit very, very hard, and he didn't just get hit once very hard. He was getting hit hard often. One thing I'll say about AJ in this fight is it showed a lot of bottle, because it wasn't just a case of one big right hand, it's done. He got it with left hooks. He got it with a lot of heavy shots, So is it any wonder that he was doing the wrong things? Maybe not. You don't know how people's brains are going to function when you get hit and get scrambled. We always talk about, it's scrambled. Your brain's literally getting scrambled. Everything that's supposed to be working and in coordination, kind of like that coordination going in your head spinning. Sometimes your head literally can be spinning, So to try and make the right decisions and do it. The most basic thing for me is when I try and drill into fighters is you get hit with a hard shot, don't get hit again. Grab, tie him up, like get a point taken off you. I don't care. Just shut the attacks down. That's the most, for me, that's the most important thing. But if it's not been taught into them or it's not become reflex sort of stuff, or if they're just not capable of making right decisions at that moment in time, it's very hard to do.
And then obviously you spoke about it there when you hurt him, what to do next, and there's a big element of that in this fight, where obviously you will have seen the video that went viral yesterday, where you can see at the end of round 4, AJ goes back into his corner, and his words were along the lines of, he's shit, talking about Dubois, and then he's given the instructions to double the jab up and bring it up, which was suggesting it's an uppercut. And then I think Shane McGuigan was on the commentary, and at that time he jumps in and says, that's really bad instructions, and he kind of predicted that he'll get caught with the right hand. I think literally 20 seconds later that's what happened. What do you think of that corner advice, how that was, and if you was in that situation, your guy comes in dropped, what would you be saying?
Well, we all work in different ways, and different coaches do different things, and we all make mistakes, and we all do the wrong thing, and hindsight's always the perfect thing. So I'm not gonna dig them out. But if you're asking in what situations, what would I do? I can only speak from my experience. It's not what hypothetically, it's happened to me. So when Bellew fought Makabu, football stadium, his dream fight, all the pressure on everything. He walks out there, and round 1, he gets dropped. When he come back to the corner, I asked him if he was all right. He was like, yeah, just broke my nose. I called him a stupid bastard. I knew he was all right. And I said to him, listen, this round, don't do anything. Just get your jab going. Don't get hit again. Just get through the round, come back, we'll have a chat. That's it. When Jordan Gill was getting bounced off the floor by Guerfe and his equilibrium's gone, and all I was concerned about was take it away, make him miss, defend, ride these moments out, and then we'll see where we are in a bit. And that's what we did. And as he was making a miss, he was defending, you could see Guerfe's getting more and more anxious, more and more, because he thinks that somebody's dead in the water there, so they're going to try even more. And it was just being smart, picking the shots. And then I said, right, now we need to start winning rounds. And then he started working, start just picking the shots, not being reckless. So my natural way that I will coach is and you don't even have to be dropped. If I see you get hit with a hard shot, hold, shut it down. I always think about when Andre Ward fought Kovalev, big super fight, and the first round, that jab of Kovalev's was booming and knocking around the ring, if you remember.
I remember.
Right? And it was like, wow. Similar to the Dubois fight. And then he gets dropped with the right hand. Andre Ward gets dropped. Like, big super fight. All he did for the next few rounds was make sure he wasn't getting hit again. Take it away. Try and take the jab away. Try and make sure there's no opportunities for that round. Don't get hit again until your legs get right, until you start feeling okay. Then you can go back to work. That's how I like to work, and that's what I say to my fighters when any those situations happen. But that can be from experience. That we always say, look at on the fighters themselves. We always say, take the full count. If you go down, take the full count. How many fighters do you see bounce straight back up? Again, I'll go back to that where you're not thinking clear, or there's that bravado. Fighters are gladiators. They've got a lot of ego, a lot of pride. So the initial reaction when AJ is looking at the camera, sticking his tongue out, or he goes back to corner and he says to his coach, he's shit. The initial reaction is, fucking hell, yeah, how stupid is that? Arrogance or whatever. But also, you got to think, his world's crumbling in the fight. There's a lot of pressure on fighters. His world's crumbling. As we're watching it, he's living it, right? Everything he's worked for and everything that they planned and everything, it's all getting shot to shit. So the ego, that if you have got that kind of ego where you puff your chest out and you swagger around like you're top man, what a lot of these elite fighters do, sometimes that can come out in different ways. Sometimes you'll see where a fighter beats his chest, he's getting caught with big shots, beats his chest. Yeah. When Bellew fought Usyk, again, talking from my experience, Bellew was boxing really, really well, and it just started getting a little bit. And I remember he banged his, I don't know if it was because they were having success or what, but his mind went away from being so focused. He started banging it, and I bollocked him for it. Because I'm like, keep your mind on the job. You have to be focused 100%. But when you're getting bounced around, it's easy telling fighters to be like that, but their emotions can sometimes get involved. And so, like I said, it's easy to dig him out for that, but that's where that could be part of his pride. 98,000 people there. You get him bounced around the ring. You probably want it to show, no, I'm all right. But forget the crowd. Focus on the job in hand.
What signs do you look for? Like, say, if you was a coach and AJ came at the end of round 4, what signs do you look for to think, right, if he's with it or he's not with it? And at what point do you think, right, he's back in the game now, we're going to do what you want him to do?
You need to know your fighters. You need to know your fighters. Again, I can only speak from
the Jordan Gill experience. What did you see where you thought, right, now's the time?
Literally, I know him inside out. It's very odd when you've only just been with a fighter. I know Jordan inside out, and whereas people say, some people have said, you need to stop the fight. I'm watching. The stuff that he was doing on that ropes, he's drilled in here, and he'll tell you himself, and the lads in here will tell him himself. So I was quite comfortable in him being on the ropes, defending, and he was catching a lot of shots and deflecting, not taking them fully. And I'm watching the opponent, the energy that they're expending, and I'm watching how it's slowing down, and then you know when to go. When Bellew got caught with Usyk at the end of the 6th round, my advice to him at the end of that round was, don't throw anything. Just stop him from throwing. Just don't get hit. Use your jab until your legs go. Don't throw any power punches. Until your legs come back, don't throw any power punches. Because I knew that at the end of that 6th round, his legs were like jelly, and he was absolutely goosed. So there's no, if you haven't got your legs under you, there's no point in throwing big power shots. You've just got to nullify or in my opinion, I'm not saying I'm right, but in my opinion, in my experience, you just got to nullify what they're doing so you don't get caught. Again, give your head time to clear, give you a chance to get your legs back, and then you can go again. In a 12-round fight, you don't have to be rescuing it and being back on top dog in round 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got 12 rounds, and then you can start getting back, And like I said, it's experience. But going back to the corner, they're doing a fantastic job. And this is the thing about boxing, is when all your fighters are winning, you're the best trainers in the world. When you get beat, everybody wants to pile in and kick the shit.
Big holes.
Yeah, but sometimes it can just be experience. How many fights have they had where their fighters aren't expected to win, or not so much expect, but where things are going like,
I think the last one I can remember was Lee Wood, Josh Warrington. That's the last one I can remember.
Right. But Lee was getting outboxed. I wouldn't say Lee was getting battered and getting wobbled, and there's a different element of thought process and how you react to when your man's, it's like a slow tap. Your man's just getting outboxed. There's no real panic there, because you're still in that, it's still calm. It's like you're asking him to make adjustments, you're seeing things and to ask him to take things away, and it's to when your man's getting mauled and he's getting battered and he's getting bounced off of the floor. That's different. So I don't think they've been in a position where that's really happened, where it looks like somebody's about, Lee got dropped against Lara and Ben stopped the fight. I don't think he'd been down before that. I can't remember, but not in a bad way anyway. So I might be wrong. I don't study what other people are doing, so I might be wrong. But I don't think he's been in a position, or they've been in a position, where everything's going wrong right from the start. Everything's going wrong. So maybe there's an element of that where you get things wrong. They're all human. We're all, countless times where I've made error judgments, and this is what happens in boxing. You can only do from what you know, and you can only call on experiences that you've gone through. So yeah.
The last question I've got for you is, I was thinking this last night. What if Daniel Dubois has always been that good, but the media, the people never really kind of highlighted that? Because I was looking through his record. Joe Joyce basically kept away from him, fought him on the outside, never really took any clean shots. So we never really got to see how that fight would have gone. So George fought a brilliant game plan. Then obviously he lost to an all-time great in Usyk. He gave him a hard fight. And other than that, he's literally blown every single other man away. And obviously Anthony Joshua was the next guy to kind of, and we saw what he did.
I don't think
Don Charles' element as well.
I don't think anyone's. We've heard about Daniel Dubois for years, right? I don't think anybody's ever doubted his capabilities of as a boxer, as a fighter. I think everybody's always talked about how good his jab is, how heavy his jab is. It's like a right hand. Everybody knows about his power that he carries. I actually thought that the body punching would have an effect, that'd be part of his keys to victory in this fight. But that even, he didn't really go down to the body like I expected him to. So we've always known that he's capable of, but again, you can only go on what you see. And I'm one of those that with the Joyce fight and then the Usyk fight, how he just folded. He just folded, and just from being in a very, very strong position mentally, he just wilted. And so you go on that, and then this is boxing. Everybody looks at your job. When you're trying to win a fight, your job is to look at their strengths and their weaknesses. So obviously you're going to go on things like, and fans are the same. We look at, when we're thinking, who's going to win this fight? You look at strengths, you look at weaknesses, and when you look at somebody's weaknesses, you can look at that and say, well, yeah, and you assume, right, well, that could happen again. If that's going to happen again, and if a fighter hasn't got belief in himself, it's very, very hard to back him. And if they've shown that they don't have that belief when things get, it's not. I said the other day, when I look at Daniel and I look at AJ, and people question the heart, the more I look at it, I don't see it as a question of heart. I see it as the mental frailties sometimes that they've shown. I think that's the most important, most obvious thing. All fighters have got a different pain threshold that they go through. We've seen it before. We've seen with fighters where the jaws are hanging off. Arthur Abraham. Who else recently had the same thing? Opataya against Breedis, the first fight. Oh my God, disgusting. Jaw hanging off. They're still getting punched on it, still going through it, right? That is taking your mind to a different level. And then you get other fighters that'll have a broken nose and pull out. Different pain threshold. Everybody's got their own threshold. Now, can they break through that threshold with experience, with maturity, with more being able to control that? That controls everything. And as we're developing in life, as we're growing up, getting older, getting wiser, you understand how to control your emotions, because emotions are a big thing. The panic, the pain, the panic, the feeling, that's all emotions. And the more you can control your emotions in a stressful situation, the more you can push yourself through it. And even I've always said, I even though I'm an adult at 18, I didn't become an adult until I become a dad. I didn't grow up mentally until I become a dad. And really, I didn't become comfortable with myself until I got into my 40s. that's that. You know, and I'm lucky to make. A lot of people don't make it into their 40s, but I didn't become comfortable with myself until my 40s. That's all part of a mental process, and you don't know people's backgrounds, you don't know people's environment. If people are comfortable, if you know, if they're comfortable, they're never having to take themselves out of that comfort zone. Yes, they do it when they're doing something through enjoyment. Oh, I train really hard. I break through barrier. My sprints. Oh, I'm killing myself on treadmill. I'm doing this. Oh, sparring, because they love sparring. They love that. So they're willing to push themselves through the barriers when you're doing something you love. When it's something that you're not enjoying, getting hurt, when it's something that you're not comfortable with, fighting in front of thousands of people, that ring walk, when you see somebody that's just doing white collar, right? And then you put them in front of, you know, they're enjoying the sparring, the training, oh, everything's great. And then they walk out to a fight and there's a couple hundred people in that arena. You speak to them, they're like, fucking hell. I was like, shit myself. And then the adrenaline and the nerves and the energy that they burn after one round, same as every amateur fight, your debut, you're fucked after a round. It's the energy, it's the whole occasion. Now imagine doing that in front of bigger crowds, you have to become getting comfortable with it. You have to get used to it. Some people live for that and they thrive on it right from the beginning. Others, it takes a while and it takes repetitive doing it. And then they become comfortable doing it on the lights in front of the people, you know? So everybody's got different paces and different capabilities of how they can push the mind and push, you know, and push their emotions back. And I'll say that's the same for Daniel Dubois. I just feel now, I think the Usyk fight, there's two things that he could have looked at that. He could have looked at the end and it could have destroyed him, or he could have looked at the first part of the fight where he's hanging with the best fighter on the planet and he's making him uncomfortable and he looks like he's a real threat and he could win this fight. So then if he's gone away and the people around him, like Don Charles, his dad, they're saying, Daniel, forget that ending. Yes, we need to address that. But focus on everything else in the fight. You are at that level. If he strikes me, I don't know him. I've literally said hello to him and that's it. But he strikes me as a guy that doesn't have loads of shit coming into his head and doesn't really, it's like he wasn't bothered about crowds, interviews, stuff like that. He just wanted to do his job, fight, get back to my family. I don't feel as though he listens to a lot of noise, to be fair. And I think if you're not taking in all the noise, the negative noise from other people like myself, I doubted him because of what I saw with the Usyk fight. I was like, oh. If you're not taking that in and you're focusing on what needs to be done to grow from that, and you're taking the positives out of that, then going into that Jarrell fight, he struck me as somebody that had this programmed mindset where I don't give a fuck what you're going to do to me. I'm coming straight through you. And that's what happened. And then the same with the Hrgovic fight. And I actually said before the fight, if he's now, that's him, and he has that mindset, because I saw that face-to-face where AJ threatened to smash him over the head with a chair or something. And I looked at his face and I thought, he looks like that guy that's insulted that people still think he's that little boy.
That's a really good explanation. I was thinking that exactly.
And that's how I thought that, and I thought that is where he's at. You know, like, it's different. But you know, like when you get the bullied kid that gets battered every day, and then all of a sudden he goes away, works on himself, trains up, like, and he goes and all of a sudden it's the same kid, but he's completely different mentality, and he frightens the shit out or batters the bullies back, right? It's completely different. And he strikes me as that kid. And when he walked out, it was just his ring walk and everything. I thought for him to have that kind of ring walk, everything about it, I just thought he looked comfortable with it. It didn't, you know, when you see fighters coming out and putting a track on or whatever and have this great ring work, and they try and be something they're not. He just looked like he was enjoying it.
Is it fair to say you kind of lived them words where, you know, you said in that face of, you can't intimidate me, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And if you look at his face, it was like he
Yeah.
was living and breathing them exact words.
100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, all credit in the world to him, how he's turned things around. And I think, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think he's a great focal point and an inspiration to a lot of people out there that do doubt themselves. A lot of people in there, you know, there's a lot of fighters that have lost fights where they could have given more, but they held back on themselves, and they know they could have done more, but they're like, oh, they didn't quite believe themselves, or you know. He's a good inspiration to people that you can turn things around.
One last one-word answer. If you're AJ's coach, do you rematch him or not?
Immediate rematch? No.
That's all I needed. Dave Coldwell, thank you very much.